Hello there, welcome to another episode of VFX Reviews, and my name is Victor, and I'll be taking you through this tutorial. And in this tutorial, I'll be learning how to make the Scarlet Witch Chaos Magic effect. I mean, I'm not a big fan of Marvel movies, but the effects there are pretty top notch, and I think we can actually get our hands on doing some basic practical stuff. This effect is procedural, and you have to follow it step by step. And the things you'll be needing actually is Stardust. You need the Stardust plugin, and you need a Deep Glow plugin. Alright, without wasting much of our time, let's get started. Alright, we're back. And so, we're going to learn how to create a very awesome effect today. And we're going to jump into After Effects. And as you can see, we have the effect. Sorry, my CPU lags a bit. And so, you can see how the effect actually works. This is how the effect looks like. And this is dope. This is very, very impressive. So let's not waste much of our time. Let's get started. So first of all, I want to create a new layer. Make sure this layer is 1080 by 1080 pixels, and I want to set this to 10 seconds. I don't have much time to waste, just 10 seconds, and I'm going to actually press OK. I want to push the layer to full because I want us to be able to see what we're actually doing. And so the first thing I'm going to do is to create a new solid. I'm going to call this Stardust. I'm going to press OK, and I'm going to add the Stardust effect to this. Okay, so we have this panel. We're not going to touch the panel at first. Go to the emitter right here and select the emitter type. Change it to box. Select the particles. Change it to a range of 3000 for now. Let's scroll to the third second. We can see we're having a bit of some effect here. Go to the origin XY, it's already 540 by 540. Then go to the size X, set it to 900. After setting 900, we're going to set the size Y to 0 and the size Z to 0. So we're going to have this effect. Yeah, we're also going to actually set the speed to 0. So we have this line effect. Then the next thing we're going to do is to set the particle height to 2. It's already at 2. We're going to set the particle size to 2. Okay, then the opacity must be actually at 100%. Then we're going to set this to random from gradient, and the color gradient is going to be pretty weird because we don't have much gradient here. I'm going to add a tint of red and another tint of a darker shade of red. So we have something like this. We'll add more color gradient as time goes by, but this is just for the intro. And next thing we are going to do is to add a bit of force. We want to make these particles move straight up, and we're going to need to actually add some force to this thing. So let's look for the force. Okay, this is the force. We're going to join it to the particle. Then after joining it with the particle, we're going to click on the force, and we're going to add something to the wind. Notice as we move this thing up, this thing changes. This is red. I think I'm going to disable the random from gradient for now. I'm going to put solid color so you can see this. You can see we have some white particles right here, and we're going to set the wind to -220. Okay, luckily I'm already on -220 degrees. And so the next thing we're going to add is turbulence. Now this is where things get tricky. This is procedural. Gonna get tricky here. This is the turbulence field. Using turbulence field, I'm gonna join this to the force. And so what I want this turbulence to affect is really nothing much, but we just have to follow it. Set the position offset to 300. Okay, we are seeing some bit of some turbulence here. Set the noise scale to 230. Okay, we're still having some bit of some effects here. Then set the amplitude to 50 and the frequency to 15. I'm going to set the fractal offset Y. We're going to set it. We're going to actually have to keyframe this. And so the expression we're going to write is time asterisk 10. So right now, if we scroll through this, we are seeing a bit of some amazing effects here. And the last thing we're gonna add right now is we're gonna add a field. We've add force, we add turbulence, so we just need to add a field. Okay, here is the field. I'm gonna add the field to the turbulence, and things are gonna get very wonky. First of all, I want to set the field type to bend. Then I want to actually give it a bend amount of 52. So with a bend amount of 52, we have something just like this. The bend amount is 52. So yeah, we can set this to 333. Then we're going to set this to the y-axis instead, and boom, we have the effect, this rapidly expanding and flowing effect. But we notice that this thing is not giving us what we want, so we want to touch it up a bit. First of all, go back to the particles, and we're going to set the overlife. The overlife is going to be pretty crazy. I mean, this is really insane. We're going to set the size overlife. And I won't set this to none of this here, more like a draw. And so what we're gonna do is, let's look at the presets we've got here. So we've got some presets here, but this looks a bit wonky. It won't give us what we really want, so I won't be going with this. Instead, we're gonna draw this thing by ourselves. I think I'm gonna need us to, let's look for a simple bezier that goes up and down, something like this. Let me select this, select the fade out. Then I'm going to drag. I want this to be. I want to drag this down. I want to drag this up a bit, drag this up, put this down, drag this up a bit. Drag, and so we've got a very basic effect like this. Then also I want to go to the turbulence. I want to add like a turbulence overlife, and I'm going to turn this into a bezier, and I'm going to drag this down, then put a point, then another point, just like this. Then I'm going to drag this right up, just like this. So ensure you adjust it very well, because the more you adjust it, the more accurate you're able to do this, the much more better the stuff would be. Okay, this looks pretty good. Now we just need to add a number of particles. I'm going to increase the particle amount. I think we should go with 30,000. 30,000 looks cool. We have a much more vibrant effect. I'm gonna save this, because if we don't, we might just end up losing our designs, which is very bad. So the next thing I'm gonna do is select this and put the random gradient, and boom, we've got that. This looks very cool. I mean, very insanely cool. So I'm going to duplicate this layer. I'm going to call this particles, because we need particles to flow out of this. The particles doesn't necessarily need to be visible, but they just need to be there. Let me put it like that. And I want us to create something like a new, sorry, not a solid, a new adjustment layer. Okay, now go to these particles. The first thing we're going to do with particles is set the particles per second to 100. Then we're going to set the size to 7 and the size random to 51. So we have this, this particle effect. This is looking insanely cool. We can put this to the background to make it look more like there are particles coming out of this. We could decrease the size more to maybe something like 5. That makes a bit more sense. And so let's add something to the adjustment layer. Luckily, we're doing all this before we add the deep glow. So the adjustment layer is pretty much intense a bit, but we're gonna get to that aspect. So first of all, the adjustment layer, add a Gaussian blur. Say Gaussian blur, Gaussian blur, I don't even know. A Gaussian blur. I'm gonna set the blurriness to 3. Okay, we're starting to have a bit of some effects here. Then we're going to actually need to add a solid composite. And wow, that looks pretty strange. Put it to black and okay, we're back on track. Then we're gonna add a median. Put the original median and set it to 3. Set the radius to 3, and we have a very we have a very more closeted effect here. Then we're going to add a vector blur. And the vector blur, we're going to set the amount to 3. Ensure that the ridge smoothness is 1. I'm going to set the map softness to 19. Okay, and I believe we have something that is more like this. I'm going to save this and we're just going to add deep glow. So I'm going to add the deep glow to the stardust and boom. Wow, that's too bright. Put the deep glow to 0.5 and we should have something that is still minimal. So, ladies and gentlemen, we've made a very beautiful Scarlet Witch power effect. I mean, this is very, very awesome. You know, if you want it to be more realistic or much more good, you could, work with the gradient. I mean, I could select a medium color and okay, that's too much. Okay, that's still too much. Dang. Great. Okay, this still makes sense a bit. So you can see how the effects keep on repeating itself and it's endless. I mean, I could just literally attach it to my VFX video and make something very awesome. So I believe we've come to the end of this tutorial. If you love what we do, please, and yeah, you can to fit your look, your solid composites, your stuff. You can just adjust them. If you know more about all these effects in After Effects, you can just go through Check in Motion. He has comprehensive tutorials on each of the effects in After Effects, and they are very, very explanatory. So I'll see you in the next tutorial. And please, if you love what we do, please follow us on Facebook at Pyrokia, on X. Yeah, that's Twitter at Pyrokia. We are almost on every social media account. You can follow us for more effects like this. And thanks so much for now. Have a beautiful, nice, and wonderful weekend.